What if you poured everything into an idea, watched it become one of the most powerful platforms on the planet, and then got forced out the door before the world even understood what you had built? That is exactly what happened to Jack Dorsey. He co-founded Twitter. He got pushed out. He built an entirely separate billion-dollar company while he was gone. Then the same people who removed him called him back to fix what they couldn't. Most people would have walked away after round one. Dorsey treated every setback like the starting line of something new. Jack Dorsey was born in 1976 in St. Louis, Missouri. He was a quiet, curious kid who was obsessed with how cities worked, the invisible systems that moved people and things from one place to another. He started writing code at 14. By his mid-teens, he was building dispatch software for taxi and courier services. That fascination with real-time connection never left him. It would eventually become the seed of everything. He dropped out of New York University and headed to San Francisco with no clear roadmap, just restless energy and a mind full of ideas about how communication could be completely reimagined. In 2006, Dorsey was working at a small podcasting company called Audio when a brainstorming session changed the direction of the internet. His idea was almost embarrassingly simple, a platform where anyone could share a short status update with the entire world. 140 characters. No more, no less. People around him weren't sure the concept was big enough to matter. Dorsey believed simplicity was the whole point. People didn't need more noise. They needed a faster, more direct line to what was actually happening. Twitter launched in July 2006. Within 2 years, it had become a genuine force, used by journalists, activists, celebrities, and ordinary people who suddenly had a public voice that reached everywhere at once. Then the uncomfortable part. Despite being the creative mind who had sketched Twitter into existence, Dorsey was removed as CEO in 2008. The specific reasons remain disputed. Internal friction, questions about management style, disagreements on direction. What is undisputed is that the man who started it all was shown the door before Twitter became the cultural institution it is today. Here is where most stories of this kind would end. Dorsey's was just finding its footing. While away from Twitter, he co-founded Square in 2009, a company built on a deceptively clean idea. Small businesses, independent vendors, food trucks, and market sellers were being locked out of card payments simply because they couldn't afford traditional point-of-sale systems. Square's solution was a tiny card reader that plugged directly into a smartphone. Suddenly, anyone could accept a payment anywhere. It was elegant, practical, and deeply democratic in its design. Square evolved into Block, Inc., expanding into cryptocurrency tools, banking services, and financial technology that has reshaped how millions of people access and move money every single day. Then came 2015. Twitter was stumbling. Leadership had cycled through instability. The board made an extraordinary decision. They called Dorsey back. The man they had removed 7 years earlier was now the one person they believed could steady the ship. He returned, first as interim CEO, then permanently. He spent the following years wrestling with the hardest questions in technology: how to handle misinformation, how to moderate speech at global scale, and how to hold together a platform that had become both indispensable and deeply controversial. In November 2021, he stepped down again, this time by his own choice, returning his full focus to Block, Inc. and his passionate belief in Bitcoin as a tool for financial freedom. The conversation around tech power and accountability has never been louder. When you see something like Jeff Bezos snaps at reporter over tough questions on worker mistreatment going viral, you get a sense of how fiercely people feel about the responsibilities that come with building platforms and systems that touch billions of lives. Dorsey has lived right in the middle of that tension for nearly 2 decades. He created a platform that influenced elections, fueled revolutions, and gave a voice to the voiceless, and also one that has been used to spread harm at breathtaking speed. That is a complicated legacy, and Dorsey has never pretended otherwise. What sets his story apart is not the wealth or the titles. It is the pattern: removed, rebuilds, criticized, refocuses. The headlines shift, the companies change hands, the world keeps moving, and Dorsey stays locked onto whatever problem is directly in front of him. That quality is genuinely rare, and it is probably what separates the people who change things from the people who almost do. Jack Dorsey's story is not a clean arc from ambition to triumph. It's full of exits and returns, doubt and reinvention, and maybe That makes it the most honest kind of success story, because it looks a lot more like real life than the polished version people usually tell. If this story spoke to you, do one quick thing: hit like and subscribe. More stories like this are already on the way, built from belief.